Hey Fit Fam, I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex. Today we're going to be diving into an NPC wellness event. We're going to look at the Cidney Gillon Peach Classic. We're going to talk about our overall winner, some class winners, and then break down the top 5 of the overall winners class. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a pretty good insight into what's going on wellness NPC stages right now to give you ideas of what you need to be bringing to those stages. And that's exactly why I have this channel, to teach you more, give you criteria, what the judges are looking for, how you can get that physique, and what you need to be doing. So if you're new here, hang out, subscribe. If you are a repeat viewer, I appreciate you so dang much. Drop me a comment, give me a thumbs up, something, to boost the algorithm here, because YouTube, it does not love bodybuilding, but I'm trying to make it. I promise I'm trying to make it. All right. So again, here we are, Cidney Gillon Peach Classic, and we are looking at the overall and Class A winner here, which is Kaylin. Okay, so Kaylin, that's a very big win for her here to pull off that overall. She actually messaged me on Instagram to see if I would run the show. So congratulations there. Great job. We're going to assess that in just a minute here. And then Imani over here, Class B winner, and then Davida over here, Class C winner. So these are the 3 class winners here that we're going to look at compared to Kaylin, the overall winner and the winner of this class. Okay, so let's dive in. So as we can see, wellness division, it's all about what we know, which is that lower body dominance. All 3 in this group going to showcase this in different ways. And that's the thing about wellness, right? Like, you can have the criteria, you can have the framework, you can have all that, but ultimately it's going to be an individual look that you bring to stage. So Kaylin here in this front pose, what we can see, good overall glute development from the front, glutes from the front, and wellness. That's what I'm always saying. That's what we're seeing. Really good quad sweep and fullness here overall. Great taper in from the waist, and that's going to be key in this division. And the upper body also has a good amount of fullness, maintains shape here as well. So it does have a great taper in the torso, brings it down into a lower body dominant look. And that is a very complete look. Also condition, right? Super dialed in, very on point here. We can see just a few little lines in the abs, a little bit of oblique cut here, a little bit of separation in the delts, probably some down here into the glute and quad. We'll see when we get to the back, but realistically, it's a very complete wellness look. Condition is not overdone. Things are not, either which way, going to be too shredded, too lean, too muscular. You could look at the upper body here and say, okay, bicep and tricep, maybe just getting a little bit on the bigger side, but that's all right because her delts, they do show that fullness. They do showcase that well. So realistically, it's a very complete look for her here. I would say, honestly, improvement-wise, areas to continue to improve. I'm assuming she's probably going to go on, to nationals or any of those other things, continue to kind of develop out the glutes a little bit more and just shift this dominance even more into that lower body. But overall, very complete look for her, and she locks it down. Super good representation of this wellness criteria. Okay, now look at Class B winner Imani here. She's definitely got a little bit more of that shoulder forward look, right? You can see that right away, just a bit more delts, a bit more size there. And that's not really being super favored right now in wellness at all, because they've kind of been shifting away from that mass monster look. They're not trying to bring that in. Not that she has that. I'm just saying the upper body, more so that development. You really got to watch that in wellness because you want your lower body to look so dominant. And honestly, hers does. She has very big quad sweeps going on here. A lot of fullness in the glute and the quads overall. Great tapering at the waist, but she definitely does have a bit more of an upper bodied look than Kaylin here, right? We can see that even into the biceps and the triceps looking more developed, more shoulder here. What that does when you have that wellness physique and you have, all this muscle and it goes on up here, it makes you look symmetrical, which is not really the key in, wellness division here, because you want to look specifically lower body dominant. More you can do that, the better. So, in her case, she would actually need just a little bit more size down here or to downsize what's going on up here. Also, conditioning is just a tad softer than Kaylin, I would say, right? So not as much oblique line, not as much going on here, not as much there. That could be a factor. She still wins her class. Great representation of criteria. That's probably the difference in that overall group, though. All right. And then we look over here at Davida. What we can see, she's definitely overall got a good wellness look, good shoulder shape overall, tapers in at the waist very well, lower body-wise, glutes, quads, hamstrings, everything's here. For her, what I see, she's a probably the most symmetrical out of the group here, meaning like this muscle up top, it really does match what's going on down here. She doesn't have as much fullness in the quads, as much fullness in the hamstrings or the glutes, and that's going to be a factor for sure. Also, conditioning wise, she is probably right about that same level of conditioning as Kaylin, but she doesn't have as much muscle, so it doesn't pop through as much in the lower body, the glutes and the quads and all that. So for her, probably just bringing through a little bit more of that. But again, she wins that class. She wins, that class C there. It's a great representation of criteria. I'm just trying to give you all further insights into how that overall kind of win goes down. As I always say, though, we don't know the full story till we get to the back pose. So let's get here. Let's take a look. Okay, and as soon as we do, keep in mind, I do these analyses, by the way. I don't review this beforehand. I just put them on. I get them. I actually have staff that put them on the screen for me. And then I come over here and just boom, here we go. So, it's fun because sometimes I turn it to the back and it's just instantly you can tell how these things played out. This is kind of one of those classes. Let's take a look. So Kaylin in the middle here, her shoulders show just about the amount that you would want in wellness, just a very little bit of that fullness from the back, not overdone, not too much, great taper in. This is where I do think, her triceps could look a little bit, more developed than they need to. Not a huge issue here for this event, obviously, but, maybe something to watch ongoing. And for all you wellness competitors, keep an eye on that, right? Like when you get your bicep tricep too big, it pulls away from the delts. It distracts from the delts. It pulls away that fullness, that shape that you need to do what you want to be doing on stage, right? So she's got a great taper in. Everything's here. And then lower body wise, totally locked down the look. So, big quad sweep from the back. You want to see that quads from the back in wellness is key. And then you can see some good solid hamstring development. You can see also the most pronounced 3D glutes on this stage. Okay. So very good overall upper glute development, pulls through that tie-in, locks that in, and it is, just right where it should be for wellness. Slight separation, this 3D that, you might say, wow, that looks like it's pretty lean. That's because of muscle. She's got a lot of muscle there, and that muscle pushes on that skin. It looks like that. You're getting literally the 3D effect from the glute and the tie-in. So she really locks down this look, totally complete lower body, very dominant look, best conditioning, best muscle fullness. Wins this class, wins the overall, no doubt. Okay, looking at Imani now, what we can see, and I could have zoomed in this whole time. I got to get used to that. Okay, looking over here at Imani, what we can see, she's got all the same markers, good shoulder shape, but, her upper body does look a little bit dominant in those triceps, stuff like that. Tapers in, lower body wise, glute shape is here. Not as much upper glute, not as much, overall glute, not pulling that tie in the same. Still good quad sweeps and hamstrings. But for her, honestly, it's a little bit of needing some more muscle mass in that lower body, specifically glutes and hamstrings, probably reducing some up here and then also pulling in a tighter condition. So a little bit tighter conditioning would lock that down, but again, great representations of the criteria. But I think when we put, Kaylin next to any of the other class winners, you can definitely see the big differences, right? So now looking over here at Davida, what we can see, great overall shoulder shape for this division. It's about where it should be. Her triceps and everything do not overtake this. Lower body wise, the biggest difference here, honestly, this is very complete lower body structure, good sweeps, good, hamstring development. Everything's here very symmetrical. I would say it's not as much muscle and just a tad, just a tad softer than what's going on over here with Kaylin. So since Kaylin can pull off these very deep, tie-ins, that's probably an advantage for her in this lineup where this is not as much, just we're getting some of that time for sure, but maybe just a little bit softer and maybe needs just a little bit more of that muscle mass in the lower body to kind of get that same projection, same fullness effect. But overall, again, these athletes are very, very good examples of where criteria is right now in wellness division, especially on NPC stages, okay? All right, if you're enjoying the video, gotta say it. I say it all the time because people are loving this. Check out my free trial, right? Go to my website, teamfflex.com/7-day trial. Grab your phone. Got a link in the description if you want, easier. And you can train with me free for 7 days. I'll show you exactly how you should be training for your goals, how I would do it, how I would design it for you, how I build out that plan. Your training, your nutrition. I can give you feedback on your physique, everything, posing, all of it. 7-day free trial, no charges, nothing. Great opportunity. No reason not to do it. If you skip on this and you watch this channel, you're like, I learned so much from this. It's so good. You're crazy because this would be 100 times better, I promise. All right. All right. So now let's go into Kaylin, her overall class, right? So her open class, which is Class A. And we're going to look at top 5 because, I don't want to just review class winners. I want to give a real insight into what's actually going on in these stages all the way down. So we're going to do top 5 here in Class A real quick, just Kaylin's class compared to the others in that group. So Kaylin, as we know, already went over. Pretty complete look, overall there. Maybe some minor improvements going forward, muscle size, things like that. But here's Jamie joining our lineup now in this class. And then we have Patrice over here in third. So let's talk about Jamie a bit. So Jamie, as we can see, good overall shoulder development here. Great taper into the waist, super narrow waist look. This is really good for this division. Lower body wise, we can see some glute structure, some quads development for sure. Instantly, what I can tell you is different is not as much muscle mass in the lower body. So honestly, a really strong tapered look, really good upper body, just not as much muscle down here. So that's one of those things where, adding a little bit more size to quads and glutes sometimes is all you need to be doing to continue to place, even better. So she takes second here, nothing to scoff at, and great representation of the criteria. Just trying to explain further for the audience here. Those of you out there, what's going on? So Patrice here, we have, a bit more of a upper body look, right? We can see just a lot of bigger delt there, a lot more fullness in that deltoid. That, in wellness, again, I keep saying, not really the look. Judges don't want to see that as much. So she's taking third in this class. That's probably part of it because otherwise it looks pretty good. Good taper in overall, lower body, the quad sweeps there, good glute shape. She does appear maybe a bit softer in the lower body, which is not uncommon, right? It's pretty common for competitors to get harder up top and then softer in the lower body. It just depends how you're prepping, how you're doing all your stuff. But overall, I would say, honestly, it's probably the shoulder size more than anything that kind of shift and pivot that look. So let's see how things look from the back, though, because we always got to go there to get that full story. All right, so from the back, what we can see for Jamie, right? Very complete look. Has good shoulder shape. Triceps are not overdone. Good taper in. Lower body, again, though, not giving us as much of that fullness, right? So we still got good quad sweeps. We still have overall good hamstring development. The glutes appear just a bit under, a little bit more upper glute, maybe more overall glute development here. Pull that tie in through some more. And, that's really what's going to complete that look. So more lower body muscle, honestly, is sometimes all it is in wellness for, what you need to be doing. And hence she's placing second. That makes sense. Okay, looking at Patrice now. So a lot of shoulders, big shoulders here. This almost starts to look figure-esque to me, that shoulder development from the back. It's not quite there, but, it's getting a little bit more of that rounded, that capped look that we start to see in figure and things like that. So that's one area I think is a standout point. Good quad sweeps overall, good hamstring development. Not as much coming from the glutes. I would say glutes are a bit under compared to the quads and the hamstrings, right? So realistically, probably bringing up some more upper glute, overall glute roundness and fullness, and pop that tie-in through with some more development. That's going to be a slam dunk, look for her there. So minor improvements again, to make. Wellness is becoming very, very consistent division for many athletes now. If you've been training for wellness for a while, it's likely you're bringing a wellness appropriate look at this point because everybody's kind of getting their footing in the division. All right, now moving down to fourth and fifth in the class. So fourth place, we have Tiffany here. And then fifth, we have Yvonne, okay? And let's see what we got going here with these two athletes. Again, when we start to get into the fourth and fifth, I usually tell all you viewers watching, this is where we start to see bigger differences in what judges are not looking for right now, right? Those are a little bit lower placings in those groups, so you get a better idea where things are. So for Tiffany, Tiffany looks overall, I would say, just very symmetrical, still great wellness physique, tight waist taper here, very good overall, good shoulder shape. Not too much, lower body, not too much either. And that's kind of the thing, right? She's got all the markers, but realistically probably needs to bring up the lower body considerably, more glutes, more quads, probably more hamstrings when we get to the back. But overall, a very complete, good-looking structure here for the torso, the upper body. I would say that's pretty nailed. That's pretty on par. You could say maybe just a little more shoulder fullness for her. It depends. It depends on the lineup, honestly. We'll go to the back here in a second and see, though. All right, Yvonne, so debatably the biggest of the group, right, when it comes to upper body. I mean, she's the biggest one we've assessed in this video. So she's got a lot of shoulder size, a lot of bicep and tricep size. definitely start to get more figure-esque type of vibes out of this. Maybe she was a figure competitor before. I don't know. Interestingly enough, Yvonne, if you're watching, drop in the comments, right? Where did you start building this epic upper body? And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. I want to reiterate that to everybody watching. It's just, in wellness, it's a little bit different because judges really want to see that lower body stand out a lot more than the upper, and that's one of those things. But, for her, she's got a great taper in. It really does pull off that look. Lower body-wise, though, this lower body looks symmetrical to what's going on up top because she has so much muscle, right? So this is where wellness, you don't want to have that much muscle up there unless you have a really lot more muscle down here, right? That's one of those things. If you still can pull off that look, then great. You can sometimes you'll see on the pros, some of them have muscle like this up top, but they also have like double the muscle down here, right? That's the thing. You want to make sure no matter where you're at, you have that look. Otherwise, she's really pulled it all off together there. It does make her look a tad symmetrical, though, due to that. Okay. So from the back now, Tiffany and Yvonne, let's go one by one. So Tiffany, what we can see, good shoulder shape for this, not overdone here. Whoops, not overdone from the back at all. It's just that little bit of shoulder, just like we want to see in wellness all the time. Tapers in well, lower body wise, again, just really needs that muscle. That's it. A little bit more in the quads, a little bit more in the hamstrings, a little bit more in the glutes, upper glute overall, not pulling that tie-in as hard. Those are all things. It's mass. That's muscle mass. You need more size, more projection, more 3D. A little bit tighter condition here too. But a lot of times, funny enough, when you pull that more muscle off, the conditioning issues kind of go away. It's interesting, but it does happen. All right, Yvonne here, so she looks very developed in the upper body from the front. A little bit less from the back, surprisingly, but still a little bit too much, right? Like we got a big delts here, big tricep, and that's, part of it. But honestly, her lower body does start to pull off a little bit more of a dominant look here. So maybe, honestly, just a little bit of change to that front post to make that upper body not look so dominant could be a fix. But realistically, she's got good glute structure, upper glutes there, overall glute densities there. That tie-in is pulling through pretty well. And, honestly, it's all there. The only thing I'd say is maybe bringing up that quad sweep a bit more here, add a little bit more development and fullness to that size, maybe more in the hamstrings. She has very developed glutes here, but maybe could use just a little bit more size from the hamstrings and the quads to kind of pull off that look overall. Upper body wise too, that's what I said. I think that is a factor because that is, in that front pose, that is a big upper body look there, right? So overall, again, just to remind you, this is, just my opinions, my ideas, my thoughts, great physiques, all examples. These ladies are doing outstanding work by getting on stage and competing. I'm just trying to give you all a better insight into what's actually playing out on these stages around the country right now, so you get an idea for your own prep. You can do better for your own looks and everything else you're trying to do. So great job to everybody in this video. Outstanding examples of criteria. And let me know what you think. You guys like the direction of wellness, where things are going right now? Do you like Kaylin's physique? You think it was a slam dunk? Or do you think somebody else should have won that overall? Let me know. And as always, check out the free trial. If you need help with anything, you're trying to figure it out, or you just want to get a second pair of eyes on your prep, anything else, it's what I do. All right. Thank you for watching. Coach Rye is out.